You're on with Ashley Jones and Dr. Wood.
Hi, this is Rhonda. I'm calling from Ohio, and I'm really enjoying the show. Hi, how are you? Dr. Judy, I just had a quick question, and then I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer. I was wondering about all the people that were jumping when the fires seem to be out. Do you have any information on that?
Well, without speculating, you can see there's something that's causing them to go out the window. It's not a normal situation. And you really feel for the first responders because they're geared to saving lives, and there's nothing they could do. There's one guy, they had to watch him and hold on to him because he was going to go out and try to catch him. And, it would have killed him. But there was something that was making them go out the window and violently going out the window. You could look at various scenarios where, like if you put your hand on your stove burner, you don't sit and say, I wonder if I should take it off. No, your hand just flies off out of reflex. It was that kind of thing, like there's something that was maybe so painful that it gave them the reflex of jumping away from it, but looking also at them as they're falling through the air, some of them look like, how'd I get here? And there's one guy that's kind of looks like he's flapping his wings. His arms are flapping. See, it's faster than the shutter speed of the camera. And there's other ones that are, quite a distance from the building that the world record holder in the standing broad jump would have trouble jumping that far out. So there's a lot of questions with that. And it's a couple of people in particular, one woman called her husband and said, I'm going to start heading down the stairs now. I'll call you when I get to the bottom. And a few stories later, out the window she went. There's no intention of doing that. So there's something that was driving them out. So it's not normal. And you look also at some other bizarre things. There's some people hang from the outside of the building they have their clothes off, or shirt off or pants off. Or there's one guy that really struck me. It looked like he was hanging from a hand and a foot. It looked like he was taking his pants off outside the building, 105th floor. Now, you put yourself in that situation and think of possibilities. If there's smoke in there, well, there's no smoke pouring out that window, but if there's smoke in there and if for some reason you need to take your pants off, okay, why not just hold your breath, step inside, take the pants off, and then get back outside? What necessitates taking the pants off outside the building? And, for me, I go through various scenarios, like the woman who went out the window a couple of stories after she talked to her husband by cell phone. She and her friend had gotten some wet clothing from their desk and gotten it wet, wrapped around their heads to head down the stairs. And that's what I would have done. I would have made a beeline to the bathroom before we lost water pressure, gotten some extra clothing wet, wrapped it around my head and face, and, used it as a mask and head for the stairs. So there's a good chance that people would be wet. If the sprinklers kicked on, they'd be wet. If they didn't kick on and it was hot, they'd be wet. So there's a lot of good reasons to think that, people might be wet. And it is known that there's certain energy fields that affect wet clothing more than dry clothing. For example, I'm not saying this what it is, but just, for a mental image, think of a microwave oven. You put a paper plate in there and not much happens to it. You put a wet piece of chicken on the paper plate and it'll cook. Or, water in a cup boils. The cup's handle still, you can pick it up. So there's also active denial system, I think you were talking about, Ashley?
Yes, I'm actually on that page right now. Active denial system, yeah. Yeah,
that used for crowd control, and it said that, wet clothing is many times worse than dry clothing. It doesn't help you. It fries, it makes you think that the top layer of your skin is getting fried. So if there's something like that, I'm not saying it was microwave, but, something like that, some kind of energy field was going on inside the building, it would make sense for what was happening. That they would have, if their clothing was wet, they'd probably want to get rid of it. And so they wouldn't fry so much. And then, why they would want to do it on the outside of the building, dangling by hand and a foot from the 105th floor. But any way you look at it, it doesn't make sense for a regular conventional fire. Firefighters don't fight fires in the nude. They wear heavy clothing as a protective layer between them and the fire. So you wouldn't want to be taking your clothes off. You'd want to be adding more to it.
So, Dr. Wood, I'm looking at page 32 in your book about the jumpers. Right?
Okay.
I'm looking at this picture of all the people hanging out the window where you're describing that one man who's hanging on by one hand and taking his pants off. So I decided,
he appears to be doing that.
He appears to be doing it. Okay. So I decided to count how many people have their shirts off, and just by looking at this picture, anywhere from 18 to 20 people have their shirts off.
And there's some that look like they have their pants off.
Yes, it's just unusual.
And there's one guy in, I guess it's a few pages back from that, where he's, it was page 28, where it looks like he's got, pant leg halfway off, and it's flapping in the breeze behind him as he's falling.
Yes.
It's a strange phenomenon. And, also, many of the firefighters said in all of their 20 years on the force, fighting fires, they've never once seen more than one person jump. And that person was jumping from the second story into a net.
No, that is so true. Usually the people wait it out, especially in a building that big and so many floors.
Yeah.
Why would you jump?
A metal frame building isn't going to burn up.
No. And that's why a lot of people don't realize this. That's why the firefighters rushed into the building and the first responders. They had no idea that the towers were going to go away.
But they know how to size up buildings. And if they know a building's in jeopardy of coming apart, falling down or whatnot, they're not going to be running into it like that.
No, they set up their on-site mobile headquarters in the lobby of the tower. So they were not afraid of it. The tower,
But what's going to burn up? You get a steel frame building with steel pans, floor pans with some thin lightweight concrete poured in the floor pans.
Right, and they're trying to tell us the official story that they burnt up, through office furniture or whatever. At first, it was the plane fuel they said it was that did it, but then that was proven wrong. It couldn't get to that, couldn't get there.
That's kerosene. Yeah, your kerosene. Camping stove doesn't melt.
Right, a camping stove doesn't melt.
This is one of the things that I thought of that day. People were saying, "Well, it's the jet fuel." I said, "Well, gee, when an airplane flies overhead, do you feel drip, drip, drip of the engine melting?" If aviation fuel, burning melts metal, how can you have an airplane flying?
Exactly. How could we cook? How could we cook on?
It's probably titanium. But also in the book is a picture of a kerosene tractor. And tractors run on kerosene.
Yes, they do. And there's also a kerosene stove that doesn't melt either.
Right.
So it was something else going on that day. There's a lot of anomalies that can't be described with conventional.
If here's another thing. Okay, let's go back to the process elimination game. I'm saying, okay, what about thermite or what about nukes? Would that cause people to dangle from the 105th floor and take the pants off?
No, not at all.
How would they know that the building was going to blow up? 30 minutes from then.
Yeah, they didn't.
It wasn't, part of the repertoire. Most of them did not know. There were also, was it Kevin Cosgrove, who was actually on a 911 call when he went poof. He was talking up until that point. He wasn't burning up.
No.
The line goes
I remember
dead.
There was another recording I heard. There was a woman, she was talking to her husband. And she was in an office still. And she said that that she was getting hot, but it wasn't. You remember what I'm talking about?
Melissa Doy.
Yeah.
That was actually, when I first listened to it, I went, wait, this is a fake recording. Well, there's a couple reasons to argue against that, because the Smith-Mundt Act was still in effect, which meant no government documents can contain fake information. They can have wrong conclusions, wrong interpretations. They can omit data, but like Photoshopped stuff, or like a staged fake, thing. But also, this seems so fake, like, because she doesn't seem like she's hot. And it went on for like 5 minutes where she's saying, I'm really hot, I'm burning up, can't breathe. And choking. You never once heard her cough or choke.
No, you didn't.
And she talked about having gone, before she made the call, gone around all the corners of the floor and finding no place that it felt good. It was really hot, really burning up, but didn't talk about having been burned. Why isn't she hanging her head out the window? There's a lot of questions that come in, but the biggest thing that hit me is, I was at Virginia Tech. I used to swim every morning, and there's some fraternity guys that, as a gag, cranked up the thermostat on the pool the night before.
Okay.
That's one time, and it was either 92 or 93 degrees, I forget which, when we went in there, and they said, you swim at your own risk, we're going to close the thing. And oh, good, I hate getting in cold water. This is going to be fun. And so I hop in, I get halfway across the pool, and I realize I'm in trouble. I'm building up heat faster than I can dissipate it. So I just decided to relax and roll over, on my back, and just try to, chill out. And somebody threw me a rope, and I remember thinking, is that worth reaching for? That was hard. It was like I was in honey, and everything was hard. Now, add to that, there's a time limit how long you can stay in the hot tub, because if you get too hot, you physically cannot make your muscles go.
So is it like sort of the opposite, like hypothermia, being cold?
Yep. And so, then I re-listened to Melissa Doy saying, I'm really hot, burning up, can't breathe. Didn't stutter at all. It was very hyper. If you've been, way too hot for 5 minutes, and I heard at least 5 minutes on this clip, that's how you'd be talking. You'd be having trouble making your muscles work.
Yes.
You'd be lazy, not hyper.
Oh, I know. When I get hot, I'm very lazy. I don't want to do anything.
And then that's when I started realizing, she thinks she's hot, but physically her muscles aren't hot. So, that's also consistent with, I'm not saying it's perfect, it's consistent with, like the active denial system. I'm not saying that's what was used, but an energy field which makes the skin feel like it's burning up, but isn't cooking the body.
Well, Dr. Judy, the active denial system can be used for lethal purposes, not just crowd control?
Right, well, yeah, if you crank it up. But even without cranking it up, like there's these video clips where the reporter is testing it. He's testing it behind a mattress, whatever he's saying. Let's see how long it can stand it. 1, 100, 2, he runs. He just cannot stay there any longer.
Well, there are reports. I remember, because after I discovered you and bought your book, I went, me, I'm a researcher. I look at everything, okay? I look for the evidence where it points.
Good.
So I spent one Saturday afternoon almost like 9 hours just researching directive energy and directive energy weapons and stuff like that. And so I actually found old reports, old videos, clips, YouTubes, from the Iraq, the first Gulf War, where the active denial system was used on the, during Kuwait and all that against the Iraqi Republican Guard. And there were reports coming out that they were finding people, like soldiers and stuff, that were burned from the inside out.
Right, and some strange things. Another thing that caught me about that particular thing, it was somebody at I think was it Baghdad Symphony Orchestra violinist, and he talked about, and the American soldiers came in and took out old earth and brought in new earth, dirt.
Yes, they did the same thing at the World Trade Center complex.
That would caught my attention really fast. Why would they be moving dirt in and out, around the places? But we just, take in that data to say, there's other situations, but what we do know is we have a lot of data from this particular situation, that it isn't dependent on anything else. To know, okay, here are the different things this gizmo does. Call it, Acme Gizmo, 1-2A, if you need a name for it. And it doesn't matter where the parts are located or what the operator had for breakfast that morning. What it matters is what it does.